We're live. We don't need to start super like, you know.
No, it's happening.
We can just start.
No, it's happening right now. It's happening right now. That you kicked it off immediately just then.
Kicked it off with a. Do you mind if we just randomly beatbox a little bit, just loosen up and just sort of like
get grounded, straight up, man. I mean? No, like the last few days I've been going.
yeah, getting on the vocal transitions. Fuck yeah.
But it's like
that's it.
But I find it really hard to hold. It's a really tough thing to like keep. To like, it's also one of those techniques that as soon as if you get it slightly wrong, it just ruins the whole.
Sounds like shit.
Yeah. It ruins the entire like mystery of it all, which is crazy. And that's something that you seem to. It's kind of scary how consistent you are. That's something that I think is really, really evident about like your style. Is it's like there's a machine level of definition, and like when I was trying to do that technique, it's to keep that exactly the same and consistent. It's so hard, man.
It is a bit difficult, you know. But that was something I was like, I've been obsessed with that ever since the first second I started beatboxing. I was always into vocal styles, like a Razel sort of sound, the old school. I like the old school sound, the hip hop sound, because that was actually very vocal. They would do the. I was always like into that sort of stuff. I love the voice, and the hard thing about those sort of switches is like you have to keep the resonance in like the same spot, because you can't jump around, especially if you're switching like it has to be in the same spot in your throat, because it's not physically possible to quickly jump up and down and around your throat that quickly. I mean, some beatboxers can do it, but it's very, very difficult. If you're holding melodies and stuff like that, it's almost impossible to be jumping up and down your throat like crazy, you know. It's possible to do things like use your voice and then maybe go into a lip sound that's on, or, you know, a lip roll that's in key. You can do all that, but with your voice it's very, very hard to jump into different resonances really quickly, you know. So you gotta try and get it to the same.
That's the challenge though, man. It's like, so the way that I thought about it is like, the term is intonation. So the intonation is how quickly you can jump from one note to another note when you're singing. So like and that is the challenge. And I remember hearing about that, and that was the whole reason I did and then and
I love that shit. I love that shit.
So like that jumping between things, for me, that was a kind of, I saw that as the beginning of that group of techniques and that thinking in that way. And then obviously seeing how many people interpret that is so, like, how that manifests in beatbox culture as a whole is so insane. But again, you're to jump between things and those more human, like, vocal tones, and to melodically jump between notes, like, that's songwriting. And I think those like having those tones and the capacity to do that, I feel like just the world responds to it in such a crazy way, is when someone has a collection of notes and there's intonation between a beautiful three notes.
Good word. Yeah.
But yeah, the I used to do a lot more of the like closed mouth.
Yeah. I love that. I love that shit. I used to do that a lot because of you. That just to try and do dubstep with through the nose. You know, using, it's like do you use the back of your nose? Is that where you're resonating? Because that's where I always do it. I always do like. It's like, it feels like there's almost like a space that opens up behind your nose.
Yeah, there's a pocket that makes. I think it's easier to do things that are melodic there, and like I kind of. It's weird, as when you've been doing it for a certain length of time, you start to forget about certain nuances. And recently, I think especially recently, I became so obsessed with the just mouth open, that aspect of that space that we're talking about. I stopped using it so much, and with there's actually less control. But I remember when I used to walk up and down like a stairwell where I grew up, and that you reminded me of that technique.
Yeah.
and that control. Yeah, it's weird, that space. I feel like there is a to do that throat-based technique and have that melodic control is almost the greatest challenge with throat bass, because so few people do it do it well. And it's interesting why that is, because I feel like let's not joke, I feel like you have had more impact in terms of a style and connection than pretty much anyone, in my opinion, in terms of how...
That's a nuts thing to say, bro.
Man, I really mean it, and I think so many people will agree with me, is that you found a pocket and a style and the way that you compose and write, and your use of melody and your patience, it connects with so many people that have no idea, who know this is the thing, people that know and who are in the scene, and people that have no idea. It has such an impact, and it's so crazy because it's so easy to say that because you're selective, that it's a minimal style, and people will claim that to be patient like that makes it simpler. But I think it's just not. Do you not think it's crazy how hard it is for people to copy you, even though so many people try?
Yeah, that thing's like a odd thing for me. I always say, I guess the patterns I'm doing are simple to copy, but it's to me it's hard because I spend a lot of time on the details, of the sounds and try and make everything harmonic and sound big. And to be honest, I don't really think that much. Even talking about the nasal throat bass, when I think about it, when I really think about what I'm doing, I actually only use the nasal cavity when in certain moments to change the texture. Actually, when I don't think about it, actually more comes from my throat and then up through my nose. You know what I mean? That's not in my nose. I guess in my nose would be, and I use that in a different way. So to show that, it would be that just feels like that's in my whole throat. But if I went in between, it would be like. So it's a different texture, you know what I mean? You can probably hear the different textures, and they're the sort of things I'm always interested in. I just find them. I spend lots of time trying to, pick what I think would sound best. I just try and focus on the details of those sounds.
But exactly,
and structures.
This is the thing. You have to be careful with that attitude, because that's a very humble and it's the right approach to have to it. But people can't copy you, and this is the thing. I hear again and again the people that you've inspired, and the hundreds, if not thousands, of people out there that your musical ideas get inside of their heads, and they, like you say, it has this kind of attraction that people feel like they can have ownership over it. But your attention to detail and your energy, there's something else going on there, and I don't know, I doubt that even you can process that, but it's a you thing. And I feel like your elimination at the 2009 GBB was a perfect demonstration of the sheer power of your decision making, and it's it was absolute decimation, man. That I would
actually like to speak about that. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because where do I start? It's like, first I wanted to say, like, I have no fucking, I'm gonna make this really clear. I have no idea what I'm doing half the time, like what is even going on. It takes a long time to even understand what you're even doing. Do you know what I mean? When things, like, because a lot of times it's just off instinct, and like, I just do things if I like them, you know. And I'll focus on sounds and work on sounds, but sometimes you're doing so much, you start doing so much, you don't even know what you're doing anymore, you sort of get lost. You're like, I'm just going with it. For example, Going Under, like how I made Going Under was like, I had, what did I have? I think I had the lip roll, but I didn't even have the rhythm. I just had the lip roll, and I knew that I liked the sound of the lip roll at that certain, like that area, that sort of low mid, like, I just like the texture of it. And I knew I wanted to do something, and I had sort of this this scale in my head, like the that's all in my head, and I just freestyled. I said, like, there's a song. I like knew there was a song there, like I knew it was there. I get that feeling sometimes when there's a feeling, you know, because to me music is a feeling rather than a sound. I think like the sound is like the portal to the feeling, you know. So I'm just like, there's a feeling here, let's just go. And I just freestyle. I just did it. I think it was for a couple of days. Like I would, like, not straight, you know what I mean? Maybe I'd do it for like 30 minutes here, 20 minutes to jump in and out of it. And eventually it just came, the line came, you know, and everything comes. So it's like, it's not calculated, you know what I mean? So when people ask me questions about myself, I'm like, I'm still figuring out what's going on sometimes. But, well, I'm glad, you said, brought up, the 2019 elimination that was the first time I learned something about myself. Like with clarity, I've been performing quite a bit before that, and I've been really focusing on like just relaxing and trying to let instinct take over like it does in like private moments, like when you're alone, you know, it's easy for that to happen. It's much harder to make that happen in front of people. Like every beatboxer knows like that zone. Some people call it the flow state, or just that zone where you're just going off and it's really seamless. You're just in the zone. Everyone knows when you're in the zone. That happens to all artists. It happens. You just get in that zone. It's hard to get in that zone on a stage in front of people. And that was the first time ever that I willingly brought myself into that zone, if that makes sense. So it's like sense. That. Yeah, so if you go into a battle, for example, I always say this, it's interesting. Usually it takes a little while, the battle warms up to actually see like the full characters on stage, because sometimes it takes time for beatboxers to get into their comfortable on stage and then get into their state, their zone, you know what I mean? And that sort of separates a lot of pros from amateurs, and maybe the skill is both really high. You got like someone who's performed heaps, someone hasn't performed that much. It's the ability of the pro dude to just get into his zone, to get into his flow state automatically or on will. Like that separates a lot of people. Just basically to be really comfortable and relaxed on stage. And with the 2019 elim, it really felt really surreal for me. It was like the first time I ever felt like my spirit let go, and like I walked off the stage and I felt like I didn't even really do it. That's honestly how I felt, which is a weird thing to say, but I really felt like I walked off and I was like, I swear to God, like what just, I felt like I did a time jump. Like I walked on and I'd done so much, like I was like meditating in my mind for so long. I remember I was speaking to Alem backstage, and I was like, what do you do before you perform? Like, because Alem's a fucking legend. He's the guy to ask, you know, world champion. And he's like, you know, you have to be calm, things like this. You know, he said, you have to have the strength in your mind to like willingly make yourself relax. Do you know what I mean? And like that you have control. That's what he was telling me, like you have control. And I was like, yeah, you can control your situation. Don't be nervous or don't be, you know, too antsy. Just you have control. And I was sitting down, I was just thinking. And I relaxed, and then I came out and I knew my routine back to front, you know, up and down, everything. And I just went, and I really felt like my spirit took over, and that was the first time that I felt that. And I didn't feel that way and for any other performance, not on the second day, not for the battles, but for that elim, I was there, and that was a really weird like learning experience, you know. So I just want to talk about that, because that was like, I think that's something that will happen to a lot of beatboxers. There is a weird point where you start being aware of what you're doing, because I feel like a lot of beatboxers are very sporadic people. Like we're very like in the moment. Think of beatboxing as an instrument. It's so sick because you can just be like making a cup of tea and then just for a second and then just keep making a cup of tea. You know, it's that sporadic, in the moment thing. And I think it's a really interesting time, you know, as a young artist to like start to like get little peeks into like what's actually happening, you know.
Man, but you're talking about probably the most profound aspect of performance in any art form, not just beatboxing. Like you're tapping into a conversation that people have had for hundreds, if not thousands of years, which is this idea of performance and music bringing out a whole different state. And like you say, as we move through life day to day, we think of the past, we kind of try to consider the future and what that might be. We think 10 minutes behind, 10 minutes in front, but very rarely does any human being in their life get to be truly in the moment and in the present. And it's one of the most powerful ideas that you see across all thought and discussion about humanity and existence. And you wouldn't think, okay, how does that apply to kind of what you're saying and the GBB like LM showcase? And it's the fact that in that you felt like you achieved that your mind and body were connected, and you were so in the moment that
in the moment, like present is the word. I like you said the word present. I love you said that word. There. That's exactly what it is. See, I didn't even think of that word. That's the word.
Well, exactly.
It was crazy.
Well, so people would ask, okay, so why is that so important? If you look at a lot of the most profound and celebrated music, it's someone who's managed to communicate something that they truly experience on their own. It's a true manifestation of something that they have experienced as an individual, and they're managing to actually share that with people. And it's so crazy that seems to be what really affects people, because you think that you always have to think about the crowd, and you always have to think about everyone in the room, and I feel like
that's crazy. That's like a crazy conversation. Go on. Yeah.
The more experience that you get, and I think the higher up you go in terms of your artistry, there's a point when you're thinking of, first of all, if you start thinking of your say your first mate that you start performing with, then maybe your family hears you, then some more of your friends, maybe someone in school, then you might do a small performance to like 50-60 people, then you might perform at a bar, there might be 100 people, and that keeps going up and up, and you're constantly thinking of how what's the audience, what's the show. But then I think eventually that all cancels out, and you arrive back at yourself. And when you can stand in front of 3,000 people and forget that they're there and just go and let your body and mind flow, that's when something magic happens. And that's exactly what you just described. And also just saying
that's
you don't
exactly
fully
what I was saying.
No, that's also like that your body is much smarter than your brain. Or I think when I say I mean people's instincts tend to be smarter than their conscious mind, and you're tapping into that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that conversation's so overwhelming to me, because I feel that so much, especially what you said about this is another interesting thing to say, like a different way to say what you were saying, is it's really interesting to watch beatboxers and all that talk about, and I think this is absolutely necessary when you're starting, to think about the crowd and move around the stage and do this and do, all these tips people say, you want to, you might tell someone, don't look at the floor the whole time, you won't have any respect, it's a way of commanding respect. Like, for example, the first 3 seconds you're seen on a stage is the most important of the whole thing, because the whole crowd, especially in a crowd that doesn't know you, because you command a sort of respect. If you stand tall and stand, confident, the crowd will respect you. If you look scared and, you got to operate off. I always operate off the idea that crowds are really, 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 really sharp and actually pick up everything. They pick up everything. They can tell they can tell if you're really good at hiding that you're battling a guy and you've been beaten. It's like they see through you and they can see. And someone in the crowd, I wish we had mics, would go, Codfish he's just lost it. Like, he thinks he's lost. Like, people can tell. People can tell everything. So you have to have true confidence, but the first 3 seconds is really important, just to set that idea, to put yourself in the zone and be confident, But there's all these little tips that people give. And it's funny that it does, like you said, it comes full circle to where if you perform enough, it's like it reverses, and actually the goal is to think about nothing. And maybe just to think about the music, you know what I mean? That's all I would think about, you know, that's all I would say to myself was all I'd say in my head is, I'm just going to do the music the way I like to do the music, and that's it, you know?
If you're strong enough, and do you know what I mean? Not many people are strong enough, and that's the thing. That idea, what it does is it propels you beyond the battle, and then you start thinking about life. And this is where I think, again, like I could talk to many artists and beatboxers about stages and battling, for example. But again, you transcend in a way, in terms of connection, in my opinion, in a way that nobody else does. There is a connection there that is so consistent. Everything you touch connects with people in a certain way, and I believe that comes from that same strength that makes you see performance and describe the performance the way you just did. There's something in your center and in your character which and that is what guides you, and that's what centers you, and the world will kind of move around that in different ways. And for example, you won GBB, you came back, you've released videos, you've released music, you have, like, I think, is it tell me if I'm wrong, like your compilation for GBB 2018 is like what, like more than 10 million views now?
No, it's actually 20 million now.
20 yeah, exactly. And
I don't even know what to say, bro. I don't know. It's easy.
I know. And I know that views are not everything, but that's what's great about these kinds of conversations is you can talk with your peers and your the people around you, and it is an opportunity to kind of reflect and be grateful and see and just have a more nuanced, intelligent conversation about, for example, those numbers, because it's you're humble and you're focused and you move on to the next thing. But I'm really interested in, say, like that 20 million, not because it's 20 million views, but because of what that represents. And again, your center manifesting, your musical taste and the tonality and the hours and hours you spend on details and your own concept of what is like correct leads to a connection that just doesn't manifest anywhere else. And would you say that like that is potentially the result of not just your musicality, but then like your character for focus? And I feel like you analyze and you understand, but you also feel. So like me saying that to you, how does that make you feel being observed in that way?
Overwhelmed. That's how it makes me feel.
It's not an easy thing to respond to.
No, and also like looking at those numbers can be overwhelming, you know, that sort of, because there's no way you can understand, like you can visualize, like music makes me visualize, like I always get visions, I always sort of feel like I go into a different world. It's almost a visual experience for me, music, and so I spend a lot of time visualizing, daydreaming, things like this, but I can no way visualize 20 million. What does 20 million look like? I can barely visualize 1,000. You know, I can visualize maybe 3,000 because I've been somewhere where I've seen 3,000 people. Do you know what I mean? And your brain can snapshot that and take that in and be like, this is sort of what it looks like, but you can't really understand it. You just see it, you know? But 20 minutes, like, what the fuck's going on?
Well, the biggest, I think the biggest live music event that ever happened, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, but it was definitely big. This is the point. I think Metallica played in Russia after a long period of that basically not being allowed, and like there's rumors of it being up to like sort of 500,000 to 1 million people in attendance, and there's videos of that. So to think that potentially
that is
like,
absurd.
But thinking of like 20 times that, it like theoretically kind of perceiving and seeing and like ingesting that piece of content that was released by Poponi that you made from your voice is it's important to kind of take a moment and stop and be like, that is really special, and that is something to be extremely proud of. And it's interesting, and I think no discussion or idea is going to, like, there's no need to analyze like where it comes from, but I think it's such an interesting thing to explore, and this idea of tapping into something that doesn't actually come from consideration, it comes from feeling, and you always talk about that, man. Yeah,
for me it's like the word, like words, like I just try and be honest. Like that's what my biggest like thing that's another one that comes through my head all the time is like to be honest, like through your music. So it's like to there's always a point where I think you can pick it in beatboxes, like you can pick it, and that's when I really start to fall in love with them. Like I love bringing up examples like Shogo, for example. For me, Shogo is one of the most honest beatboxers I've ever seen. Even specifically in all his stuff, but in the 2019, he had this like special, like when he came on stage, it was like I wasn't in Poland. It was like I was in his backyard in like Japan. Like I was just like with Shogo. It's so special, and he's so different as a person. So like it was so striking to me. It like put me in like almost a trance. So like when I was watching him from like the back side up in this little corner, on the side of the stage, and I was like, holy shit! Like he's powerful. He's so honest, and it's because he's not doing any he's not imitating. Like when he's beatboxing, he is. Do you know what I mean? And like that is to me is the coolest thing. So I just always try and just be honest, be yourself. It's so funny. Like I go like it's all simple. Like this stuff is, I guess it's just simple. It's just like what people tell you is always right. They say be yourself, and you're like that's what it is. It's just hard to just be yourself, but they're right.
Well, you have to. It's belief, isn't it? I think belief is the main benefit of experience. It's a lot of people really have what they need to achieve many things. That the thing that gets in the way is the kind of the challenge, and that can come from like disbelief can come from many places. It can. The main candidate is the self. You challenge, you question. You put up walls. Like your greatest opponent is yourself. You're lazy, which is a big one.
Absolutely.
But then also like many.
What did you say? Sorry, before. What was the last word you said? I missed it. What did you say?
Many people are lazy.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. So some people can be lazy, but I think something that's really common is you'll get a young person or like say like a young artist or a beatboxer who will have a truly original thought, something that has the potential to be something like truly great, and then they share that with a friend or a parent, and because they're over familiar and they come at it from a place of over familiarity, over familiarity. Oh, fucking hell, my mouth.
That's a tongue twister.
Yeah.
Over familiarity.
Yeah, they're being overly familiar with that person or idea. Yeah. And they say something which is just a natural thing to say. It could be like an honest criticism, and there in that moment, that honest idea kind of disappears, or they end up listening.
It's morphed.
You let people basically affect or change or influence what is that central pillar, and that's where you use it. You take advice. You take advice, and you people.
Reeps, you are the man, bro. You're the man. You're the man, bro.
We're having a good chat.
You're speaking language. It's like I don't even know I understand until you say it. Then I'm like, yep, I agree. I exactly agree with that.
That's always the best thing is if someone says something and you've realised you've thought it the whole time, but you've never articulated it.
Yeah, I thought it the whole time, but I didn't put it in words. Like it was like, you know what I mean? I didn't know what I was. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it's a good way round, but it's concerning when like people try and advise you or they try and protect you, and what they actually do is they end up like tainting your honesty, or you lose that belief, and it takes a long time to get that back. As young people, as kids, we're so charged with it because there's so many things that we're told we can't do, and there's so many like rules around us. So you build up this kind of like pot of potential. And then only certain people, as they get older, they get that bravery to push it and share it, and it manifests in like so many different ways for people. But I think the crazy thing about beatboxing is there's so many opinions of it, and people kind of have to get through the novelty before they're able to kind of touch something honest with it. Because what do you think of people when they say beatboxing is just for copying things?
Oh, I think they're wrong. That's what I think. I think they're just wrong. It's just the instrument. That sort of stuff. I've been recording on video games for 7 years now. I've copped every single insult 1,000 times over, and eventually it was probably a good thing for me. It hardened me to just be like, some people just aren't gonna get it. And also, you have to look at it as maybe you just need to put in a bit more work, because I think there's a breakthrough point where you have reached a level of honesty and a level of tightness and level of cleanness to where you can break through a lot of people's barriers. Because, you know, a lot of people have that instinct when they hear something they don't understand. You know, not all people, but some people, is to repel, you know, and that's natural. But you just but I just say to myself, you know, if you really keep working, if you ever become truly good, like a really good beatboxer, you can break through that, you know. So whenever people say that, I just brush it off and say, that's fine, man, you don't like it, no worries, you know. But you know, the idea is like become truer, become better, and I think you can make those people realize that this is just another instrument. It's just a new one. It's just so weird that it's come. It's really like beatboxing is really coming out now. Like really, like what I would talk about with people. I'm sure what you spoke about probably way earlier is like the idea of like it's going to be bigger. But that always sounds like a bit of a dream, you know what I mean? Never felt very real. Like, oh, beatbox is gonna have millions of people, and there's gonna be battles with like they're gonna have like all millions of views. And I'm like, yeah, so totally. And it doesn't fully feel real. And then it's happening now, and it's like,
man, it's so crazy.
Like, it's crazy. It's
so crazy
nuts.
for me. I said this. I've said this before, but like, have you seen the early MMA fights, like the first ones? Like the first UFCs.
Little bits, yeah.
Man,
yeah,
it looks so wacky. It looks so kind of.
It does.
Yeah, it just looks like a sort of like a fake film, like a sort of a recreation of a real fight. And I kind of feel like when I rewatch like the 2009 like World Beatbox Champs, it just feels the same kind of kooky like. Sort of low key, like low budget,
that underground sort of come
super
together,
underground thing.
Yeah,
and then if you like put videos next to each other, so say you watch like sort of like ZD versus Vatang in like 2009 like final, and then you skip to say like GBB now, it's so amazing to see that, like how the scene is like grown.
It looks like 1,000 years.
Man, it's just such a different thing. And like, where do you see it all like going?
It doesn't sound like, well, I'll make it clear, I've got to be clear because we're being recorded. It doesn't sound like 1,000 years, but it looks like 1,000 years. Just the look of it.
I think in every aspect, it's the energy of it, man, and the momentum. And like, isn't it crazy that like, say the sounds and the compositions, the use of voice, like tonally, these are things that have never, like you're doing things that have never ever like happened before in your corner. Like we're all innovating, and every time there's someone that has some kind of like breakthrough sort of style or contribution, it's not like there's very few sort of like most things. Say you're an illustrator, you're standing on the shoulders of thousands of years of kind of like visual art, and it's so established and vast. But like beatboxing, sound making and voice is as old as humanity itself. Like I'm not saying that it doesn't exist before, but there's truly new things happening in the scene, and I feel like that's why it's just going to keep growing, because people are like, what the hell, again and again and again and again. And one thing I love asking people and talking about is, you've seen that breaking and skateboarding is in the Olympics now.
Right, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So breakdancing and skating is in the Olympics. Like, not necessarily the Olympics, but like, could you imagine one day like a truly formal music sport competition? Where do you see it going in 10 years from now?
Oh Jesus! You know, can I jump back for a second? Because as you're speaking,
you can.
Because I want to, because that's going to go in a whole nother way, and I really want to answer that question, but I'll come back to it because I had a question I really wanted to ask you, and it's something I'm just still trying to figure out. Is like you were talking about like a little while ago. You're talking about like how a kid shows his parent an idea or something, and it's a very fragile moment, and like anything that they say can massively impact that idea, and it can lose its like honesty straight away. It can be changed, because of what other people think. And I've gone to a point, I've gone back and forth on this. It's like going between wanting to share everything and then going between wanting to share with no one and almost being overprotective with ideas. I feel like that's something I fall victim of, is like, I'm so aware of what you were saying before. Like, I'm so aware of like, I'm if I've got a song I'm not finished, like Going Under, I'll use again as an example. For GBB, I was very protective, like where I did that. Like, I wouldn't just do it. Do you know what I mean? because I was like, it's unfinished. I don't want to, and it's weird, and I think it's wrong. I think it is wrong. That's why I'm asking you, because I think it's too much. I was like guarded. I was like, nobody touch this. It's not finished. It's mine. I'm still working on it. Don't tell me what to do. You know what I mean? It's that sort of like, how do you balance that? Like, have you dealt with that? And how do you deal with that thought, of like protectiveness of your idea?
Man, it will drive you crazy. It's like it's something that is one of the hardest things. Like, say, this is different for everybody, but when you get to a point that your ideas become established, or you get some level of success, and it's like had momentum, and say that you've gone from, like, it's affecting your life. Say your creativity is genuinely affecting your life, and people know you for it, and you get some form of respect or some kind of feedback. At some point, there comes a second wave where all of the strength and this belief that you've built up kind of snaps into a new octave, and then you start observing yourself in a way that you never did before. And all of a sudden it can feel like there's more rules and there's more pressure, because you've got more momentum. Again, 20 million views for your piece. Like, we're talking tens and tens and tens and tens of millions of views and streams across like all these platforms. That is a whole different level of pressure, and it's not that you've changed and there's something different in you, but like an artist is almost has to build up a different sort of evolved form of belief to keep centered. And you're it sounds like to me, man, that you're that control, or that kind of that filter you have of like, I'm holding this until my gut's telling me it's time to share it. That has been your strength. It must be like you're so selective with what you share, and when there must be some connection between that and just that power that I was talking about before. So it becomes a really difficult one.
Yeah. Sorry about that. All right.
Does it sound alright through Discord, or does it sound?
Sounds good. It sounds really good. It sounds good. Go, bro. Go off. Get some energy out.
I feel like you inspire me to do more of my like the kind of the older stuff that I used to do, like the
the throat bass is crazy.
Yeah.
That's sick.
No.
I love those tones, man. I love those low tones and the filters you put on, like the sort of the mouth shape and all that. It sounds so nice. It's sick.
Yeah, you don't do that so much, do you? You do it like a real
I do it in different ways. I use overtones mostly. That's like how I use my mouth usually. Like the hey, like there's hey, which is like normal. That has a little overtone in it, but you can make it bigger. It's just a little bit, you know what I mean? It's just an extra little tone in there. That's what I do. That's what I'm trying to do at the moment in my lower register, like trying to bring the vocal tones in, so that, because it seems like it's the vocal tones that create the overtones a lot of the time. It's like a mixture of air and. I
want to talk about vibration bass at some point, like.
Absolutely.
Keep talking about what you're saying. 'Cause I'm really interested, like those subtle tones you're adding.
Like, for example, in trying to talk to a god, which some people might know, that I'm trying to work on my lower register so I can bring the vocal tones in, so I can get that sort of that nice little overtone that I like, that sort of resonance sound. Because it's quite a low notes for me. So you can hear them more in the higher tones and the lower. So I'm trying to like open up those lower notes so I can get it. It's just a little bit there, you know, but it gives it this sort of, for me, those tones, they just make it sound bigger. They fill out that sort of soundscape, you know. It makes it sound real big. I like that big sound on a throat bass, you know. Which go and it's like filling up the room, you know.
Well, I think it's just one of the most versatile sounds, especially playing live. Is that it doesn't really matter how, like, say you've got a terrible sound engineer, which by the way nobody should have, and they should tell a sound engineer what sound they have, just a small note to anyone listening. Yeah. But if let's say you just jump up at a party, like you got a really like sort of a low key setup. I think a throat bass always connects and it always comes through. That's why it's such a unique.
It's the cheat code.
It's a cheat code sound, isn't it?
It's a massive cheat code, bro. It's a cheat code. It's just something about it. Whenever watch people doing showcase, maybe in a place that's not welcoming them very much. Maybe they're in like a pub or something, and they're doing like some sound, just drums or something simple. But the second I notice, just when people do the, it's like it's a cheat code. So I swear to God, a few heads turn every time someone does that.
Totally. Just the amount of times I've been at a party and like I say I've done like a build up, like.
That's a sick sound, by the way. That's sick. At that moment, everyone loses it.
It always works. It always works. Like,
always.
Whatever.
Why? What is it?
I just because I think
is it in our DNA?
Like, I think it's close enough to the tones of a voice. Like it's a vocal sound, but it's like it's far away enough that it's like still completely like shocking. Yeah. So it's in that mid range which connects with everyone, because a lot of other sounds they're not in that vocal tone, and it's just such a biting sound. But then, so for me, like starting out with my throat bass, which I don't really know why I pushed it so hard when I was younger, I saw this really amazing meme, which was
Thank
kind
God
of
you
like,
did.
well, my innovation. But then, like, I saw a meme which was like, I won't describe it, but anyway, it kind of insinuated that there's throat bass, but so from throat bass, there's compositionally. That where I would place the throat bass, you can now, there's like inward bass and vibration bass, and vibration bass is something that I really want to learn. So like here right now, I want you to try and just tell me the breakdown of the codfish cheat code, and I'm gonna like fail. But I would really. Do you know how much I hate it when I'm having an interview and someone asks me to teach like them to beatbox? But I feel like I get a free pass. I get slight sort of cheat like hall pass to ask this. So like explain to me, because I have an idea, because it's like head voice and throat bass together, like but that was terrible. But I just want to hear your explanation, because I'm interested. Yeah,
so how I'm understanding it is changing, because I'm still understanding it. But I can teach you how to engage it and get it.
Yeah, to practice it. So like you say like the starting point would be really useful.
The starting point is very simple. This is what I tell everyone when I try and teach them. I say, follow exactly what I do, and don't try and think ahead. And don't try. And the thing is, with vibration is don't. It's actually quite high. It's like throat bass. You can tell the same thing with throat bass. It's not going to be very low when you first learn it. It's usually somewhere in the middle. So you might get a tone like around or something like that. It's not going to be super low straight away. So don't expect a super low sound. So first trick is just copy me. Go just open hum through your nose. Second step is it's like it's not a nice thing to say on a podcast, but it's like you're constipated. It's like you're constipated and you've got a bit of tension and you're like, it's like you're angry or something. You're angry at someone. You go, it's a tight hum. It's an angry hum. And you get that sort of that sort of that high tone in your voice. That sort of like it's like you sound like almost like those what are those villagers in Minecraft? Almost like that. Right? So go now. What you want to do is now I'm going to be really clear with this. Be careful with this. You don't want to hurt yourself. Make sure you're drinking water. If anything hurts, I'm speaking to people listening, stop. Right? If it's hurting, just stop. Take a break. You can try again another day.
Don't try this at home. AKA,
don't try this at home. Don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home. Try this at home. Don't try this at home.
Exactly. Try this at home. Don't try this at home. All right. So what we want to do is there's going to be a lot of tension. It's very tension sound. So what it is it's some sort of weird. I don't exactly understand. As I understand it from doing it, is it's like a mixture of throat bass. It's like you're doing throat bass, but then at the same time your vocal folds, which are two like skin flaps, like they harmonize at some sort of perfect harmony, right? At like a fifth or a seventh or something. And I realized actually recently. Is that you can change that harmony, which is something I'm getting onto now, which is exciting. But so there's a harmony you can get, and it's a perfect vibration. So you're using like the tension in your voice, just like tightening and slamming your vocal folds a little bit tightly together to get this perfect vibration. It's very delicate. So it's a delicate sound. So what we'll do is to engage it is you go, you start high. So and then you slowly come down, and all you do is push. And think about it's the same realm as push with tension and engage your throat bass. Don't try and do throat bass, but think of the engagement of throat bass.
Yeah, the top end of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So and you'll get this little. You want to search for a crackle. So usually most people get a crackle. It'll be like a. See that little. That's vibration.
Yeah,
bass.
I see.
So let's hear it. I want to hear. I want to listen to you. Oh yeah, it sounds close.
I've got it,
yeah. Close.
I don't know if I'm going to include this, but it's like...
Yeah, you know what? No, it's all right. You know what? No, include it because you might get it right now. Here's what I tell you is don't... Actually, because you're so good at throat bass, you're too good at engaging it. Don't engage it. Just push just push outwards with it as you go lower. So you start high and slowly go lower and push more as you go lower. More tension as you go lower. So and just push. No. Oh, you just did it for a second. Did you hear that? You just did it for a second. It wasn't on, but it was there. Oh! It's there. That's it. It's there.
Is that like a higher version?
That's a vocal bass. That's different. That's with your chest. But to be extra clear with that other sound, because that's a cool sound, is start high and increase the tension as you get lower. And the reason you're increasing the tension, for some reason, that makes the sound like it makes the vocal part of the sound like engage really easily. So it's like. And that's how you get the sound. Right? Yeah, it's very subtle. Very, very subtle.
It's in there.
You're
that's
close.
So weird. Just for a second.
You got to make the a bit more vocal, less bassy. Don't think about throat bass. Just think about your voice, a tight high voice. It's tight and high. Yeah, like that. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, it's it. Yeah, I just did it again. See, that was it. You just did it. That's it.
Yeah, I feel like my throat bass keeps trying to creep in.
It creeps in. You gotta avoid that. So actually, I shouldn't say. Don't think about throat bass. Don't think about. That's throat bass coming in. Yeah, don't think about only use your voice. Only use your voice. And just look for that little crackle sound you get. It's purely vocal, actually. It's purely vocal. You're going in throw bass.
I don't know. I think the fact I was coughing meant that it was something new, because that's normally my rule. Is that if you cough a little bit.
Yeah, it's true. You're tickling something. You're using an area you're not usually using.
But that's something I can definitely, like, that subtlety is something I can go away and like think about. So I practice that. But could you show me some, just like in terms of your tones, just a few variations of like the things that you've developed, and then maybe I'd love to hear a routine.
Sure. So a sip of water. So regular vibration bass was first taught to me like years and years and years ago by, I guess he might be the inventor. I think he was the inventor. There's always a guy who did it probably before him, but I met this guy called Ilario on Xbox. I haven't spoken to him in years. I hope you're good, bro, if you're out there. He was the first person I ever heard do it, and he taught me in an Xbox 360 chat how to do it. So thank you, Ilario, for that. So it's sort of the standard. So I've been really working on it to have more range, and I think there's an unlockable range in there. Same with throat bass. When you first learn it, it's very small, and you unlock more. So that's the normal harmony. And you think about whatever that harmony is, I actually don't know what it is. That fits in certain scales. So that actually fits in a song like Going Under, that fits in. So if I go, so we are going under. I could be like, so we are going under. Here's another example. And you can almost speak in it sometimes, you can say. So I've been practicing this, see if I'll get it. So we are going under. It's very delicate, but I'm trying to be able to almost sing melodies in it. You know, I think it's a good way to practice to open up basses, is to speak and sing in them. So I'm trying to talk to a god. But it's very delicate, you know, it's something to work on. But what I was going to say is there is other harmonies. I figured out there are others, like some other people may have figured out before me, but I've just figured out that if there's other scales, and the only way I can trick my brain into doing it is by like doing like some sort of major scale and try and trick myself into doing it. So it's like I've been doing like a there it is. That's the other harmony.
Yeah. That's sick.
And there's some sort of like different range in there. Some sort of different range you can do. So yeah, there's something else you can do. There's different. I'm still learning it, you know, but there's different harmony. And I think if you can do those two, you can do more. You can do more.
Yeah, that, man, it's really subtle, but I can really hear that shift there, and like tonally it makes it so full.
It's just different. It's a different sound. I like it. I really like it. It's different. It's just a different texture to play with, you know. Especially if you can get the ranges to extend to where they cross. So I've been doing beats like trying to go simple transitional beats, trying to get smooth between them, like so I can use it as a texture, like. So I was doing a beat like. Yeah, try and do things like that.
Try to get quick intonation, ladies and gentlemen.
Intonation, ladies and gentlemen. That's it.
Beautiful example of intonation. It's crazy.
And if you can cross over the ranges, you know, you can just use it simply as a texture, you know, which is nice. It's a nice thing. You can switch it out, you know, it's fun. So even if I was doing, oh no, go please, yeah, go.
No, I'm just I'm experimenting with it as well because I guess like because I don't use vibration bass, but the going from to the throat bass with a harmonic tone.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's nice. It's so sick. Again, bro, that's fucking nuts, dude. Those tones, or a different way you use tones is so sick, man. That's my favorite shit, is that sort of that messing with the tones and like changing the shapes of the sounds like midway through. It makes it so exciting. It's just exciting.
Yeah, I need to play with it all a little bit more, but
there's a massive overtone in there. Yeah, that's sick. That's fucking dope, man. That's so nuts. I love that. I love the jump in between all those tones. No. That reminds me of sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I've always been. I was gonna just say.
You say. No, I'm not saying now. You go.
No, my style has always been on the kind of on the edge of always like, I don't know. I always wanted to give this opinion like one of the ways that I showed that I was always like really in it was sometimes with lack of control. And I know that sounds so weird, but sometimes when like for example, there's times I've played at like raves where there's like 3,000 people, and I've done this huge build up, and then the fact that it's gone from being like to then like, which doesn't, it's like it's less clean and it's not cool, but it goes from machine to animal.
It's just energy.
And that, yeah, energy, exactly. And that's something that I think I can take too far in certain contexts. As Reeps, as me, like I feel it, and that's what works for me on stage. But I feel like it's interesting to be reminded of the nuances of control that I think I've gone in and out of over my career. And you'll make me think about like the nuances and the definition and the consistency as like picking that up as a challenge. But yeah, you were about to show something.
I really like you said that, because that idea is like, I really love that, of like very subtle changes, if they're set up right, can like really make people really listen, and then they would love it. You know, if you set it up right, you know what I mean? You just got to set it up correctly, and you can sort of just make a simple, like, I don't know, like really simple. Like if you're going, I'm just going, and the only change is me going up and then down. And people, if you set that up right in music, people will just fucking go off. Crowds will go off. You know what I mean? It's exciting. The change, if you set it up right, the change is exciting, because it's like if you lull people into being used to a certain thing, because a lot of, like, you know, I guess this all might be related to humor almost in a weird way. Like humor a lot of the times is surprise, a big element. So if you lull people into getting used to, and I mean you do it for a while, like I'll do it for like a while.
That's a great way to describe it.
Okay. If you set it up right, it can be a moment, you know.
No, I think that was a really smart way that you described it. Like humor, like laughter is about setting up a trajectory of expectation and then going left.
Yeah.
And like that's what makes people laugh, is like it evokes a reaction. And I guess that's something that doesn't happen so much. Like I really make an effort. I remember saying this a while ago, and everyone thought it didn't make sense to. I was giving like a beatbox workshop in Japan, and no one understood what I meant about basically if you did one idea for 2 minutes, when you make that one small change, like everybody will react to it. Yeah. Because in the room it just felt like I just added a hi-hat or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's amazing, people in the music world, like just having that belief to set up an idea and then make one change and make it progressive. So like a beatbox routine being truly progressive instead of build-ups and drops, I think is like definitely a maturity in the mind of that artist.
Absolutely. We've taken great inspiration from DJs and genres like techno and drum and bass, and they're very, they can be, in live settings, they're very progressive. They're not really about so much. There's lots of drops, but they're specifically techno is a good example of something that's very progressive. It's very like the probably most basic example is, I think you already brought it up, was the hi-hat in techno is like, that's the ultimate version of progression, is like, and they can do it you can do it forever. You can just go and just play around with the melody. And that moment, if you do it for long enough and you lull people and you get them used to it and you play around, you get comfortable, and then you create a little world and just it can just be, you know what I mean? You come in, it just brings you in, and there's something about the hi-hat whenever, you know, it doesn't have to be beatboxing, any just normal techno music, and it's a sick little vibe, and it's just got the kick, and it sounds sick, and then the hi-hat comes in, it's like, woo, everyone bounce, everyone just gets into it. And also my favorite is actually my favorite isn't the hi-hat. My favorite is my favorite isn't putting the hi-hat in. My favorite is when you put the hi-hat in and then you take it back out. That's my favorite moment. So the yeah. That's my favorite. I love that.
Totally,
I
man.
love it.
Because you hit the nail on the head. Like I was going to say that my the techno is so inspiring. It's so interesting, the moments that people cheer, especially when there's no like massive, because obviously in a lot of other live music and electronic music, it's build up. Like you can't miss the moments of intensity. But a lot of progressive, let's say techno, can kind of be unrelenting and consistent, and it basically like it washes over you. And occasionally there's this moment of like it's still coming at you, and it's the idea is like it's new, this like these nuances. You see a crowd become like they're all cogs in a machine, and they're all dancing together, and it's this intensity that's building and building and building. And I think there's something way more profound. That's why in a lot of techno audiences, people are so committed to the music, because it's more towards like a trance-like kind of cyclical experience. And that is a there's something really profound in that. And when I realized that, when I became interested in that, it really changed. It changed so much for me, and like my sort of. It took me a while to kind of get back into drops. Like I started to find drops, like because my whole life was made from drops.
It becomes like what's the word? You know, you expect it.
It becomes expected that when you make that transition to something more progressive, it can kind of throw people off. And I was talking to some of my friends who are amazing musicians, live musicians, and I say, man, techno's, they're like, really? It's like repetitive. And I'm like, dude, like, listen. Like,
you don't get it.
Listen to this artist, or listen to this thing. Thinking in that way is like really, really a wonderful thing. And it's so possible for a beatboxer as well to kind of get into that space.
It's so stupidly possible. It's so cool.
It's funny, that choice of beat that you did. I love that.
Yeah, that sort of style. Yeah,
but it's that same like cheeky like kind of, we're doing this, let's go.
Yeah,
I'll send you some tracks after this.
Absolutely.
Just to like, I think you'll find really, really inspiring.
I'll soak them in. Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Oh, and also on that, sorry to cut you off.
Go.
On that, there's even like, there's all kinds of things, but I also love, there's another thing, I think beatboxers should try this, is there's actually a moment, especially in techno. Techno is such a good example. It's in all things, in like the lower keys of like drum and bass, not like the heavy shit with the big drops. It's like the liquid, you know, the sort of spacey drum and bass, you know, they have these sort of things too. Is a moment where nothing has changed and people react. And it's like this sort of thing where I guess you get into your pocket really deep, and it's something about it where you get the tones become even more on, your kick sounds even better, because the more you do, I feel like it sounds better the more you do it, because you start to tune it more, right? As you tune it and you sound better, if you just keep doing it, I guess it takes some people a little bit of time to be soaked into the world that you're creating. And there's sometimes moments where everyone is synchronized, and it's like the groove hits at the same time, and it's a moment. It's just dope. It's like repetition creates like a really special feeling. That's something like I didn't even really understand, but I'm sure you know what I talk about. Like you haven't even made a change, but people start cheering. And like you've just done a build up, and you've done the drop or something, and you've just stayed and you haven't changed it. Something even, you could do like a fucking, there's something about it, I felt, when you keep doing it and you just stay and the rhythm's on, sometimes it just fucking feels good. It just feels good.
It's belief.
And the crowd responds.
People can pick up on that commitment, that belief. And it's like it's like when you described a joke. Sometimes a comedian will tell a joke and it'll be funny, and then he'll keep with it and it will get unfunny, and then it comes back around,
and then he keeps,
and then it's even more funny.
Exactly, that's right. And it gets funny again.
you're describing so well, man. Like some of these ideas that I think are not always spoke about in beatbox composition, but they come from like a feeling with a group of people in a room that you jack into their heads and you kind of hack their system, and it's all. And instead of thinking in terms of routines or thinking in terms of sounds, you're thinking in terms of moments.
It's moments, and the feeling, yeah.
You're understanding that there's this moment can occur if you stick with this. And like for me, one thing will be if I'm doing like say I'm like a UK festival and I'm doing a more of like a sort of technical like liquidy drum and bass idea, and you stay with it consistently, but then eventually you just bring it up 1 dB or it becomes slightly more intense.
It's just over.
And people love that.
They'll jump through the roof.
That commitment.
Yeah.
But that
see, I'm in the world. You put me in, you know what I mean?
The world.
You fucking suck me in there. I was in the forest being chased by a wolf. It was fucking, that was it.
So rhythmically, the idea's the same, the patterns are the same, but you're just intensifying. Obviously, that was like a smash through, but that all of that could have been 16 bars for each idea. You're slowly building, and eventually you stop. And it's just everyone's in. I used to use your terminology, which I love. It's like you've made the world. You've created a world.
You've created it. You just you suck them in, and then you change the world. Like the color of the sky changes, and people freak out. Like it's just fucking like. It's my favorite thing in the world, bro. That's just my favorite thing in the world. It's my favorite thing.
You've just given me an idea, so maybe this is something we could do in the future. But imagine a visualization or like a music software with each element that you add, or it basically changes like a landscape or a visualization.
That would be so you can actually so the visualization is there.
A world.
It's there. The world's there.
Building a world with your beats.
And then you put the chest bass in. There's like a slight earthquake, and maybe a tree falls over or something. Like that'd be. Imagine that. Boom. That'd be crazy. That'd be so sick.
So that's your 5 years. That's your 5-year plan. That in 5 years you're going to be building worlds with your voice.
Building worlds. That would be that's a good goal. That'd be serious, dude. Here's the world.
I feel like it's like I've said it in this conversation. So like when it happens in whatever capacity, I can be like that was defined in some way during this chat.
During this podcast, that was fucking defined. That's crazy, because that's really cool. Imagine being like, here's my song, also download my world. You know what I mean? Yeah. Here's the world that comes with it. Man. That'd be crazy.
Well, for me, the way that I see like what I'm interested in is it's always about combining things that have just never been combined before. And the main benefit of the world we live in today is there's many greats, there's many masters, and there's been geniuses in every discipline. But what there hasn't been is the ability to connect those disciplines in such an amazing way. So seeing how your voice is visualized, or seeing how you would visualize your voice, or what is your voice in spatial audio. So if you're in London, if we went to like a like say King's College, which I do quite a lot of work at, like if I could say, all right, so here's this here's an iPad, while you beatbox, you have 20 speakers around you, and you can place your voice live in any point in the room.
Playground.
So it's like
a playground.
It would be like, what would you do with that? So I think it's
oh my God.
It's like making those new connections is really exciting, and I know like you've had so impact and power, and you've achieved so much. There's so many other things that I could have like brought up that I hope you know that you've that you're grateful for, and you're aware of, and you take good energy from.
I appreciate that.
But I'm so interested to see what new connections you make, and like where you take it, and you can take your sweet ass time. It's your gut is what's going to make it as good as it's been up until this point, and something more.
Yeah, I like to say, like, because I'm not really thinking while we're having this conversation that's being recorded, so I want to make clear, everyone who's listening, anyone who's listening who's like subscribed me or watches my videos and enjoys my music, I want to say actually thank you to all those people. I mean, you guys is what allowed me to even do beatbox full time. I mean, you changed my life, completely changed my life. Like, if no one was listening to my music, I'd probably just be working somewhere and I wouldn't be able to put any time into my art. There's nearly as much time as I get to and have all these amazing opportunities to perform and make more music. So I want to say thank you to everyone sincerely, like, who's supported, who's watched the videos, who's done anything like that to support. I really, really appreciate that. Everything. And I'm just trying to give you what you deserve, which is like, so, you know, honest art, like something. I'm trying to make good shit, you know. I'm trying to do my best to make good shit. So that I take my time, you know. But that's because I really care about the final product. I'm trying to do a good job. You know, I'm trying to do the best I can. So yeah.
Yeah, man, and I think it's a really important thing to say. And we've touched on this before when we've spoken, but yeah, you're like part of a fan base is the journey. And it's like how other people come in and out. There's ups and downs. There's opinions left and right. But any choice you make, like, you don't have. There's people that have record deals and they release singles. It's like you've created a following, and you've inspired people. And no matter where you go with it, I believe people will respect and give you the time and patience to make the choices that you want. And that doesn't exist in a lot of creativity.
It's so special, man. So it's so special. Yeah, like, just jumping into like CSGO. I've been recording a CSGO video recently. Just jumping in now, just having things where it's just like I just have friends. Like that I didn't even know I had. Like, I jump into a CSGO server and there's 4 dudes doing lip rolls. I'm like, what's going on in here? Like, this would have never happened years ago. This would have never, ever happened. And these dudes are doing lip rolls. I'm like, you doing a lip roll? I'm like, and he's like, yeah. And I'm like, you know Napalm and all that? He's like, yeah, I love Napalm. I love all this. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what's up, man? I'm Codfish. He's like, oh, you're Codfish. I know Codfish. And I'm like, it's all of a sudden we're friends. And it's like, I'm like, yeah, show me your beats. And we just start jamming. And it's like such a surreal feeling. And it's like your best mate straight away when you meet beatboxers, you know? It's like, it's just sick, man. It's the coolest thing.
You speak the same language.
Yeah, you speak the same, exactly. It's the same. And we go, oh yeah. And the other guy's like, yeah. And you're like, oh, I've got this thing. And it's like, it's just fucking language. It's the coolest thing, man. It's a shout out to everyone. And I hope I run into some of you guys on Cisco and on Fortnite and all that, because we'll jam. We'll just get the jams on, bro. It's just jam. Yeah, I love it.
That's the connecting people, like, beyond language. Like, that is totally the goal. And who knows where it's gonna go? Like, it's crazy to be a part of a scene and a culture which is so becoming something more and more established by the day, but still so goddamn new. It's so and people don't know what's coming. That's what I love about it.
No idea.
That, like, yeah, they don't see, like, it's still enough of a cult that it has all of this room to grow, but just the power behind it, if everybody joins forces, there's so much that can still happen. And like I say, I'm not necessarily the Olympics, but I just feel like there is something about that. There's something there, my gut's telling me that something's going to happen over the next few years, and anything I can do to help pushing it. Like, I see myself as an astronaut. I go left and right to all these different spaces, but I'm here to push and explore and help open doors for people in the same way that I think everybody is starting to find
even more than you've already had, bro. Even more doors than you already
I'm back
have.
In the room. I've opened the door and I've walked back in the room.
You've come back. You said, I just went off for a walk. Just come back. You know, just doing a couple of things over here, and you're just back. You can just pop in, bro. You just pop in. It's cool. That's natural for all artists. Like, you need to take break. That's another whole conversation. I don't know how long we've been going for. I don't know if we want to go forever.
I was just about to check.
We could go forever. We've
done an hour and 40 minutes.
You nicely, I don't want to end it, but you perfectly went back to, like, the sort of future, so you can go on about that, like the next 10 years. Like, we come back to that subject you brought up probably an hour ago. We've come full circle.
Well, when it's the next world shutdown, we can do another chat and, like, have an update.
So we can be trapped indoors and do a podcast. Yeah. I hope everyone's safe, by the way. But stay safe, people. Stay healthy. Stay healthy. Yeah. Please. Eat salad. Exercise.
I think that, you know what? I'm going to delete the entire podcast and just play that one loop. Eat salad.
Eat salad.
So it's a conversation with Codfish.
I'm telling you. You want good throw base? Eat your broccoli. right?
There's a T-shirt in there somewhere.
Yeah, there's something in there. Anyway, yeah, next 10 years, right? What do you reckon? I want to know what you think. You were sort of getting into it there, but what do you think next 10 years?
Yeah, so basically you can define something as a culture, not a subculture, when it has a direct impact on education, society, and media. And I think that media is we're talking billions and billions of views. I feel like there's a lot to be said for how much it's like growing. Like in society, obviously the culture within it is growing. I think the one bit that's missing is like truly established and respected place in music education. Mm-hmm. I think that it is eventually going to become something that becomes a very useful tool for teaching music across the globe. Like one of the talks I gave at Davos at the beginning of the year was the fact that soon there's going to be 8 billion untapped voices on the planet, and the fact that we beatboxers to some extent push the motor function and control of the human voice to its absolute limit. And there's so many benefits to controlling your voice in such a way. So you could have 100 kids in Nepal who's in a very difficult area to get to, and you can start teaching them music instantly. They can start practicing music instantly, which is not just singing. They're learning percussion and composition and arrangement with just their voices. No instrument, no acoustic instrument offers that. So I think in that aspect, I think it's gonna grow massively. And when you get that trifecta of education, society, and media all working together, I just think there's going to be a whole new wave of like composition and performance and fan base and characters and entities. I think the esports world will be quite comparable to beatboxing culture. I feel like the way that GBB's going is you could have 10,000 people in an arena.
Oh, absolutely.
Eventually, just the fandom and the growth and the commitment and the love. Like, I've never seen a 2,000 capacity room fill up so quickly when those doors open at GBB.
Yeah,
so
it's nuts. It's so
completely nuts.
It's so nuts.
I just see production, composition, like products, tools, beatboxers becoming like the go-to medium for voice control and contributions and consultancy for how we actually uncover something that is uncovered. The voice is just not charted. It's not totally charted yet. Yeah. And most things in our life is completely covered. Yeah. Like the human body anatomy is completely covered.
That's exactly.
It's so exciting that the voice isn't, and where I see ourselves as explorers of that whole space.
Oh, that I'm trying to keep this really short. Is that sort of idea is again another thing that's like a mantra's come in my head as well. Is that sort of mantra of it's almost like people who jumped on a boat and found another country that we didn't even know existed this whole time. Like a massive country that we just didn't know was on the planet. Somehow we missed it. And it's like really in 2020, it's like, how did you miss it? How did you miss it? But it's here now.
That's what I say every time. Like I still don't get it. It's that I'll go and meet the most respected, the story. I've said this in another conversation, but my favorite story was when the second time I went, I lectured at Harvard. I ended up meeting up with a guy called Hans Tuchku, who's a 10-year professor of composition. He's an absolute legend, incredible pioneering musician. And he basically, he's been coding music for a long time. He plays instruments in new ways. He does a lot of work with AI and computing. But his thing is experimentation in music. And Bess Porbeck, who was who brought me there, so I love to Bess. She's one of my favorite people in the world. She managed to get me a meeting with him, and he said afterwards he'd heard beatboxing, and he had all of this kind of expected preconceptions, but by the end of the hour I had with him, his words were, how the hell did I not know about this? And he's like, how did I not know that there is a whole scene of people pushing the oldest instrument in the world in a direction that it has never gone before. Yeah. And just obviously I can say that, and I've been pushing it, but to hear a 10-year professor of composition at Harvard University be all right, we need to do something about this. We need to establish this thing. it just got me like mad excited, and my job has been to go around the world and basically create that moment with as many people as possible.
It's so sick. It's so awesome.
And that's because I've been able to do that in the most like conceptually like rigorous environments, it's just given me all the faith that eventually the world will catch up and we will be pioneers of this thing that even 40 years from now. Like when you're studying like artists and painters from 100 years ago, I just do believe that there's enough in this culture. Well, maybe.
Yes, we will. We'll look at Reeps One. No, we'll look at Reeps One. I'll be like, oh, I knew that guy. I knew him. I did a podcast.
Well, actually,
I did a podcast.
So I'll say, well, yeah, we did the podcast. Yeah. But the something I will say, like I guess a final subject, which I guess is perfect to talk to you about. Yeah, actually,
there's one thing before we get to the final subject. Sorry, just to cut in.
No,
there's one thing I wanted to say. It was and as I said that, I forgot. What was it? What were you just talking about? Sorry, you were just talking about?
Talking about like just 100 years from now.
Oh yeah. It's that idea. I remember being in like some of the biggest freak out moments of my life. We were in my garage with the tribe. We did like some things where it was simple things. Like for us, like we just did I did a vibration note, and then somebody harmonized, Gail harmonized with throat bass under my vibration, so I was above him, and then Rex did Luke did a harmony on top, and then Rex did a falsetto on top of that, and it was this 4-layered harmony, and with all these different textures in there, and it just sounded like huge. It almost sounded like the sound wave like knocked me out of the garage, and I had a massive we just all freaked out, and I kept saying, and I couldn't stop saying it. I was like, I really think we just did something that has actually never happened before. Do you know what I mean? Like that's
you 100% did.
It's never happened before, and that freaked me out. That freaked me out.
No one has ever done that combination before.
That freaks me out. Just that idea freaked me out.
Well, we're so trained to believe that those moments are unachievable.
Yeah.
But like, you cannot, in the court of law, you can argue that is a tonally and compositionally. If you think of harmony, like imagine the first time someone sang a harmony.
Yeah. Oh,
so
shit.
That moment happened.
Yeah, it did happen.
That moment happened.
Probably a little while ago.
Day there was someone that. Yeah, some group of people sang a specific harmony, and I believe there's a lot of evidence and a lot of backing that could say that you had one of those moments.
That's ridiculous, bro. It's ridiculous. And there's the funny thing. I think all beatboxers have literally all beatboxers are having these moments. Can have these moments because beatboxing is literally this massive, and are having these moments like every day. This like country this beatbox country is just it's so big, like it keeps getting bigger when you think it's going to end. It just keeps getting bigger. All of a sudden you hear this sound, you hear that sound, you hear Tom Azakare's bass, and then you hear D-Lo's lip sound, and you hear Shogo going and you're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? You're like, what is going on? It just keeps getting bigger, and it's like, and for every sound that comes in, that's not just like, oh, that's a sound. That sound unlocks like 500,000 possibilities, because that sound can be manipulated, and someone will take that and go, I can do it with this way and close my throat this way, and it's like, it's crazy. Beatbox is the coolest shit, bro. It's the coolest shit.
It's an amazing, unique space, and everyone and many people, and because of the amount of novelty that can be associated with it, people can convince you otherwise. But in so many environments, if you are actually like hold it down with a magnifying glass, you can really argue how existentially insane and unique and one-off this is. And I've said this for many years, like, how many chances do people get to do something that's never actually happened before? And we do get that opportunity, and we have to take a moment. I think let's do that. Let's just take 5 seconds to like give a moment to the fact that is possible. Yeah, you ready?
All right.
Go. So
it's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy.
It's completely bonkers. And I think something really cool that you touched on.
Yeah.
Something that you touched on, which it's something I've spoken about before. But I think if you look at music composition and harmony, I think the next level of beatboxing, something that you will eventually start seeing, is like what you described there isn't necessarily a harmony, because you're stacking and frequencies that mix alongside melodic harmonies.
Yeah, it's true.
And that combination of like linear vocal output in the most efficient way. Like what are kicks and snares that really go together in the same way a producer will mix a track? There is a beauty to the sounds that come together in the right way. Eventually, when will you have tag teams? Because people touch on it, but people that are harmonizing and compositionally and rhythmically in sync, but then also in terms of the frequencies used fusing together in new ways.
Yeah. This is another huge thing, and I love that. I love that you brought that up. Go on.
That's a next level, and I think you totally are, like, you touched on it with that story, and it's something I've spoken about before. But like I would like to call it that eventually that will start happening more and more. These like fusion sounds, I'm going to call it. I've just come
fusion
up with that
sounds,
name. But
it's fusion
sounds.
Yes.
So like when two artists can combine in and harmonize complex beatbox techniques together and fuse them together.
Yes, it's like mixing their palettes beautifully together to make different colors. It's sort of like if you had different sets of colors for a painting board or something, you actually mix the colors and they come together. It's like little things of like really little things, you know. It's like certain beatboxers do that like throw you off as like people that really pay attention to detail, like Adani, or some people that have just been beatboxing for a really long time, like ZD and stuff. It's little details that make things crazy, like the pitching of kick drums and like the pitching or hi-hats, like everything being really harmonic, and like you can tell every sound's like really intention. Like it's not like when I listen to ZD do his beats. I love ZD. He's one of my favorites. I fucking love ZD.
Yeah, he was one of my first idols.
Oh, he's amazing, man. He's so amazing, and like he's been a big inspiration to me. And when I listen to him, it's like, and he's doing his kick drum. It doesn't sound like he's just doing a kick drum. It sounds like that, like he's not just doing a kick that's a part of the beat. He's like doing an intentional kick drum that's tailored to that beat. Do you know what I mean? That's the sort of thing I notice in people like him. That's the stuff I love. And he's a producer.
Yeah,
there you go. No surprise.
He's a producer.
He is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is that awareness of like what like taking and learning from other compositional like principles and applying it. But again, man, like the way you talk about sounds and the way that you describe like your like, I don't know, maybe you've spoken about these things before, maybe you haven't, but where it comes from, like it's visual, it's multisensory, and it's whatever that sensitivity is. It's not beatboxing that makes you good at beatboxing and music. There's something underneath it all, which is really interesting. And I wonder what else, if you applied that sensitivity towards, what else you would do. And that's not like a push that you shouldn't beatbox or anything, but it's like you have an intelligence and an approach and a concept, which is the reason you beatbox well. You don't think like that because you beatbox well. Does that make sense? It's that way round.
Yeah.
So that center and what you do, don't be afraid. If you're going to be very reserved and selective with your beatbox output, maybe it's really important to think about another creative output where you don't have to be so selective. And because you know the term catharsis of expression. Have you ever heard that?
No, I haven't. No.
So catharsis means release, like the catharsis of expression. To release has a direct impact on your well-being and yourself. And I guess like strategically and being smart, and in terms of impact and being iconic or just continuing the crazy journey you've had, I feel like your gut is telling you to approach things a certain way, which is, in that respect, it just makes so much sense. But in terms of the catharsis of expression of you as a human being, be open to finding other ways of letting all that energy out, because when you talk and the sensitivity and the nuance you have with how you think, it's so important to make sure you get that out in other ways, because it's good for you and it feels great.
Yeah.
And that was it's some advice that I got, and people say to me, like how are you good at X, Y, Z? Like these are multiple things you seem to be really strong at. I said I'm just good at one thing that makes me good at lots of things.
That's great.
And yeah, and I feel like maybe when you talk, that applies to you as well. There's a reason.
It's dynamics of sounds. It's like there's more than just a sound. That's why, going back to ZD, when he's doing his chest bass, he does this intro part. I think it was in his GBB showcase. When he's doing the intro, he's not just doing these loud ticka straight away. He's doing them really, really small to accompany that sort of atmosphere. And then when he progresses the beat, then they become big. Do you know what I mean? It's like the placement. So some person might look at that and say, he's doing the same sound. He's not doing the same. He's doing the same sound a different way. Do you know what I mean? There's different ways to do sound. So you might look at a beat and say, oh, you know, it's just a throw bass and a kick, but you can do that in like so many different ways. You know what I mean? There's many, many, many different ways.
Well, maybe that's a really good takeaway for me. I'm trying to learn something from each of these conversations that I'm having, and I feel like it's a very, like, being schematic with your sounds and with your, like, your creativity, your output, can be categorized as like you're writing your compositions, you're writing your routines, your phrases, like you're categorizing your sounds, but then really spending time to then take each sound and understand the true nuances of how that can change and what that can be, I think is a really great lesson. And maybe, like, not to unnecessarily make it deeper, but you could really, and I'm going to think about applying that to other things, that I spend so much time in creating and manifesting in the world around me, from my projects, from the pieces I make with people, in music, in art, in ideas and in concepts, that maybe I'm going to stop and really think of the nuance of each thing, and give myself more time and depth with the simplicity and the truth of what it is I want to be making. And I'm going to apply that to beatboxing, and I'll apply that to some other things as well. So I really think and remind myself of all the variations of all my sounds, and I think that's such a powerful lesson, a different level of deconstruction and breakdown and quantification, which I think could be a huge lesson for people listening.
Absolutely. Well, I think we should maybe put an end to it here, man. Otherwise we might go on for fucking 400 years and people might just be like, I'm over this.
Well, how about we say that maybe at some point we do another one?
Absolutely, dude. 100%. We got at least another 200 hours to go for. So we'll put in this 2 or whatever that's been. And man, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on, Reeps. Thank you very much, man. It was a pleasure to talk to you, man. And I got to say, I always make it clear, I got to say, you've been such a massive inspiration to myself and so many other beatboxers. I speak for it here in Australia massively. The whole scene, you know, my whole, like, for myself, my style and everything, man, you've been a massive inspiration. So I want to say thank you for everything you've done, man. And thank you for having me on this podcast.
No, man, it's my absolute pleasure. Every time I talk to you, I can feel that there's so much going on inside that head of yours, and there's so much to you beyond your sounds and your music, and like this platform, this idea of sharing more. Again, this more than a podcast, this is an archive, and this is something that we can both look back on in 20 years and remember this conversation. Yeah. So even in just that, it's something really, really amazing. So keep killing it, keep growing, and one day, we'll make something together.
Absolutely, sure. We have to. We will, man. Thank you very much, Reeps. Thanks for listening, people. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Let us know what you think. Talk shit in the comments, whatever you want to say, man. Fucking Boom. Cool, man.